Well, we actually have some very big news. According to reports this morning, they are stating that Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to talk and end the war with Ukraine. But why? This is what is very interesting, and we're going to discuss this in today's video. Because what we are learning this morning is actually something that we have heard about over the last couple of months, but it's starting to ramp up. It's intensifying, and now Russian soldiers are actually pushing back against the Kremlin. But look at this. It says Putin breaks his silence on Ukraine peace plan, says Moscow is ready for serious talks. Well, it's about time. This is exactly what President Trump has been waiting for Vladimir Putin to be serious about the discussions. But let's look at this. It says, Putin said Thursday that the outlines of a fledgling peace plan that has been reached by the U.S. and Ukraine could be the basis of a deal that ends the almost 4-year-long conflict. Says, in general, we agree that this can be the basis for future agreements. It says the president added that the U.S. appeared to be taking Russia's position on the peace settlement into account, and that Moscow was ready for serious discussions. One of the things that many other countries are saying right now is that the Trump administration and President Trump himself are actually using more of what Russia wants than what Ukraine wants. And the reason for this, according to reports, is because Vladimir Putin is going to continue to hammer Ukraine, continue to receive weapons and support from China and from Iran, from North Korea as well. And that is going to hurt Ukraine. The United States does not want to get heavily involved into this, even more so than we already are. And President Trump has actually threatened to actually pull support from Ukraine. So the fact that Vladimir Putin wants to have serious talks is key. But why? Well, I want to show you something first. Hey, look at this, and then I'm going to explain why Vladimir Putin wants to have serious talks. Listen to this.
A U.S. official tells CBS News that Ukraine has agreed to a U.S. brokered peace deal to bring the war with Russia to an end, with only minor details set to be left to sort out. However, there's been no official word just yet from Russia. This as U.S. officials and diplomatic sources tell CBS News that Army Secretary Dan Driscoll is in Abu Dhabi this morning meeting with Russian officials. We're also told a delegation from Ukraine is there and has been speaking with Driscoll and his team.
One of the things that we have heard about is that President Trump has made it very clear he is not going to have another meeting with President Zelensky or with Vladimir Putin until this peace deal is reached. That's it. But according to reports over the last several months, they've been saying that Russian troops are pushing back against Vladimir Putin. Look at this. Okay, this just came out just this morning. But look at this right here. It says Russian troops refusing to carry out combat missions in the Donetsk sector. It says the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's main intelligence directorate has intercepted a conversation in which a Russian soldier reports to his commander that personnel under his command in the Donetsk sector are abandoning frontline positions and retreating to the rear. Says, where are they going back to? Where? I'll remotely switch off their radios right now and they'll get the F out of full speed. It says, judging by the tone of the exchange, Russian forces have failed to make progress toward Ukrainian positions for several days. Because of this, the unit commander threatens to classify all of his soldiers as deserters. But listen to this, okay? I asked a friend of mine to kind of feel around, get some intel here. And one of the things that he said is that Russian soldiers have been upset for quite some time because they keep being ordered into parts of Ukraine that they have had little to no success with. Because of this, soldiers are losing their lives, they're losing their lives, their friends, their family members, and they aren't gaining any ground. It's a lost cause. That's what he said. So the fact of the matter is this, okay? Russian soldiers are now going pretty much putting pressure on Vladimir Putin, saying that we are not going to go into some of these regions because we've had little to no success. We are losing our lives. We're losing our friends, our family. Right? Why do we continue down the same path? We're not getting more support. Okay? We're not getting any new intelligence. And Ukraine seems like they're only getting stronger. That's a problem for Russia. That's why, according to reports, Vladimir Putin wants to take these talks seriously because he knows that his troops are right there where they could just abandon the entire mission altogether. And if everybody decides to pull out, Ukraine is going to keep pushing forward and get Russia out of their country entirely. That right there could be huge. But I want to show you something else because this right here is big. It says, Trump's Ukraine plan triggers outrage from Republican lawmakers. Right now, it's not only that Russian troops are putting pressure on Vladimir Putin. The Republican Party is putting pressure on President Trump. The citizens are putting pressure on the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Everybody is getting pressured at this time to end this 4-year-long war. End it. It needs to stop. But look at this. It says NATO scrambles jets as Russian drones make deepest incursion into Romania. It says fighter jets track 2 uncrewed aircraft in first daytime breach of Romanian airspace since the full-scale Ukrainian war. This was reported just 2 days ago. Okay? Now, why is this such a big deal? It's a big deal because any incursion into NATO, getting NATO involved is going to bring not just one specific country, but every single NATO nation is going to be involved. This includes the United States. But look at this right here. Here's a real warning. Germany warns Russia could attack NATO by 2029 as intelligence threat assessments mount. Says ex-NATO Supreme Commander says there's a lot of truth in what the Foreign Ministry is saying. When NATO is now warning that Germany's warning that Russia could attack NATO by 2029, and here's the reason why. President Trump, okay, how long is he going to be president for? Think about this. He was elected president in 2024. He did his whole big ceremony, January something of 2025. Okay, he has 4 years. So by January 2029, President Trump is going to be on his way out. Now, does another Republican come in and step up in his place? I don't know. But if we don't have somebody that is like President Trump, okay, that is going to pretty much push back against any type of threat, that could be a problem. And that, according to reports, is why Germany is warning Russia could attack NATO in 2029. Because that's when President Trump is going to be on his way out of his second term in office. So we're going to see what happens. But the one thing we do know as of right now, the one good news, is that this is finally happening. This 28-point peace plan that President Trump put together, or his administration put together, is the basis of this deal. And according to Vladimir Putin, that's where they're going to start. Start from there, negotiate, work on the whole plan, figure out how can we come to some type of an agreement, and then at that point, both countries, hopefully, will agree that yes, this is the best way to move forward. At this point, we'll lose the least amount of lives. Ukraine will lose the least amount of their country, and we can all move forward. And again, this would create less tension in the region. So we'll see what happens, but the good news as of right now is that yes, Vladimir Putin is serious, that he wants to have these talks and potentially end the war with Ukraine. So we'll see what happens, but again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.